Well, you might notice that I'm wearing a tie, and you haven't seen me in a tie for a long time, and people were starting not to recognize me because I didn't have my tie on. So I decided to put this on just so you would know it's me, and we are returning to normal in so many exciting ways. If you stick around until the end of this broadcast, you will see some press coverage that we received, very positive press coverage for our graduation. KSL, ABC, I think the world was really hungry for some pictures and some experiences of a school that was doing a normal graduation commencement ceremony, really yearning to get back to normal. So stick around for that at the end. If you wait until the end, you'll also see some highlights from graduation, including excerpts from speeches and some of the video highlights. We had nearly 5,000 people that joined us for the live broadcast from around the world. Extraordinary. We're going to share some things with you today that will be exciting. I want you to look at this picture before we even start because I think it sets a tone for what we're going to discuss. This is a picture that was taken by Mrs. Acuna from the east side of our campus as a hot air balloon was taking off from our campus. And when I saw it, I couldn't help but think in my mind, is this balloon rising or setting? Reminded me a little bit of the question that Benjamin Franklin asked at Philadelphia, that crucial constitutional convention moment when he looked over at the rising sun inscribed on the chair and asked, is that a rising sun or a setting sun? And of course it was a rising sun for our young republic, and this balloon was a rising balloon, and what we're going to talk about today are some exciting things that have to do with the upcoming fall and year for our school that we hope you will join us and be a part of. Okay, well, we're coming to you today because we want you all to hear our current thinking about what we expect the school year to look like this coming fall. Not just what we hope, not just what we have already decided. There are still things that we will decide, and there's lots of things that we hope. But here's what we expect. And before I get to that, we know this question is important in your minds as you consider enrollment options. Those options and elections are due this Monday, June 1st. And you start making deposits on Friday, June 5th, non-refundable deposits for the summer. The vast majority of you have applied for full-time school in the fall, and your deposit will be drawn on June 5th in the normal course. If you are a family who is still considering whether to enroll full-time or part-time, or maybe you're still considering whether to enroll at all, please listen to this broadcast and prepare to make your decision by Monday. We'll draw all tuition deposits and admit families on waiting lists, and there are many of those, beginning on next Friday, June 5th. Okay, we also want to thank you, parents and faculty and staff. Your remarkable support through this last 2 months has been invaluable. We just would not be in as strong a position as we are now without you. You've all lifted in your own way. Many of you have given time. Many of you have given resources, made donations to our annual fund to help families who needed urgent assistance. We just couldn't have done it without you. We also wanted to remind you that summer programs are now available. The catalog is also on our homepage. You can get it on the masthead on our homepage or on Veracross. The governor's updated guidelines this week and UHSAA's guidelines this week permit school activities, including sports, to resume when in adherence to indoor and outdoor guidelines, which we of course will be. And we'll be following many safety protocols to make those programs careful and safe. All right. Well, what do we expect the upcoming year to look like? Let's talk about that. First of all, in a sentence, we expect for the upcoming year to be as normal as it can possibly be. We understand that the CDC and the World Health Organization have guidelines for schools that they have issued. So does the state of Utah's health department. So does the Utah County Health Department. There are different guidelines from different organizations for different populations. We just want you to know that our procedures and protocols will be most closely aligned with the Utah State guidelines and the Utah County guidelines, which we believe have been appropriately flexible from the beginning, thanks in large part to the tone at the top with Governor Herbert, who has really deferred to the citizens of Utah to make decisions for themselves in so many circumstances. And it's possible that some requirements for the public schools may not be required of private schools. And if that's the case, we will take a different and possibly more independent position on some of our safety protocols and procedures because we don't have the same constraints that large public schools with large class sizes in relatively small classrooms might have. We're in a very different situation. We are a small school with very small class sizes, relatively speaking, and a very large campus to spread out on. So there are many things that we can do that will still be safe and keep school going in a very normal way because of the flexibility that we have as a small private school. So what does that mean specifically? Let's talk about some specifics. First of all, we expect to start school in the fall on campus and on time, as scheduled. Masks will likely not be required for students. They will be permitted, of course, and potentially encouraged in some circumstances for employees and students. But the general atmosphere will be one of flexibility and personal choice within the boundaries of safety. If you were at our graduation, our commencement this week, you heard us say from the podium, we understand that there are lots of good reasons for people, given their personal circumstances, to wear masks or not to wear masks. And so we gave them choice. And that choice is very important. Temperature detection at home before students come, not at doors and entranceways. I just got off a call with most of the Utah private school heads in our association, and we agree that in a small private school community where we know you, we trust you, we know that you care about your children and can work with us as partners, you can do temperature detection at home before your child comes with a thermometer, however you would like to do that. We'll, of course, have screening questions and posters and signage and training and respiratory etiquette and increased cleaning and disinfection at the school, all those things that we can do without disrupting the flow of our program and our day and keeping focus on the classroom, we will do here. But temperature detection becomes very difficult programmatically. It takes a long time and it can be intimidating to students as well. So we're going to ask you to do that at home. We have a large, as I said, we have a large and beautiful campus for a relatively small student population. So, playgrounds and play toys will be open. We'll clean touch points frequently, including our play toys, and students can help. Recess and PE will proceed as normally scheduled. Outside and inside, we have a number of large and spacious indoor playing facilities for inclement weather, but outside as long as we can. And we have lots of room outside, including in the stadium, for our students to spread out, stretch out, and have fun. Lunch, we would like it to continue together in open spaces. We can spread students out more. But again, we've had lunch inside of our arena where students were already spread out more than 10 feet. We can continue to do these kinds of things. We will increase hand hygiene and respiratory etiquette and training. Assemblies and gatherings can continue outside and inside with additional safety precautions if necessary, possibly staggered more so that group sizes are smaller. Again, if you saw our graduation, you can see how this can be done, especially in a small private school atmosphere. We do not expect that barriers or shields will be installed between desks and around students. We want them to feel comfortable, not isolated when they're at school, together but safe. We will do increased cleaning and touch point disinfection and follow those protocols, especially if the Utah County and State Department of Health require certain procedures. We will, of course, follow those procedures if required for schools, for private schools. Student desks will be placed at a safe distance from each other, not isolated from each other, but as far apart as we can within reason and in keeping to our relatively small class sizes. We generally want employees, children, visitors to the school to feel comfortable, safe, and focused on learning without the distractions that may be unnecessary or without following protocols that may be unnecessary for our circumstances, our population, and our environment. Okay, well, more to come on our safety guidelines. We have still 2 months or more before we commit to these in the fall, but we want you to know where we are now. Much of this was developed in coordination and collaboration with our safety committee chairman, who is Matthew Sperry, Dr. Matthew Sperry. He's a pulmonologist working at the Utah Valley Regional Medical Center and here in American Fork. He's one of our state's experts. And our safety committee will still meet this summer at some point before the fall to confirm these protocols and to look at current circumstances and make adjustments if we think necessary. But this is where we are now. We know that there is risk, but we can assume reasonable risk while at the same time maintaining safety for our school community and returning to a very normal, or as normal as possible, mode of operating. Well, it's going to be an exciting year, as I said. In the fall, this will be our 50th anniversary celebration, our last. We've had a few of those this last year, and this last one will be on September 17th, on Constitution Day. And we will unveil the Nathan Hale statue on that day. We will celebrate Constitution Day. We hope that you will be with us in the spirit not only of our independent republic and celebrating the principles for which our founding fathers and mothers stood, but also in the spirit of the restored gospel and the blessing that it is to operate a school like American Heritage where Christian character and inspired scholarship and responsible liberty all come together in one place, and with your families here with us. I love the theme that our senior class chose for their graduation theme. Mark chapter 5, be not afraid, only believe. Thank you, AHS families. Have a wonderful and safe summer. We'll keep you posted as we go. We'll see you around the campus.
While schools around the state have found creative ways to celebrate graduation this year, American Heritage School was able to keep things as normal as possible. Thanks to their small graduating class of 59 and a large outdoor stadium, AHS was able to host an in-person graduation ceremony. Students wore masks. As you can see, they were spaced 6 feet apart, and parents, as you can also see, sat in the bleachers spread out in the stands. And this is
It has been my privilege to get to know many, in fact, most of the members of the 2020 graduating class. Through literally hundreds of interactions, I have come to know and appreciate and respect and admire so many of these remarkable graduating seniors. You have character. You have love for God, and you have love for one another. You are truly disciples of Jesus Christ and devoted friends to one another. And there is greatness inside of you.
There will always be more coronas. There will always be earthquakes in our lives that shake us to our bones. There will always be challenges that, like Zoom calls, make us just want to pull our hair out. But luckily for us, there is someone who can help us through all these things. Someone who is with us every step of the way, who carries us on his back when we are too weak to walk. Together, with our Savior, we can get there.
If the unknown causes fear, you're not alone. I felt completely inadequate to address you on the subject of dispelling fear and believing, because like many of you, I have a lot of concern for the future. But I realized in my preparation that our theme is not telling us to get over our fears and blindly move on with life. It is telling us to rely on our Savior. It is saying, Lord, I have a lot of fears, and I'm trying to believe. But Father, help thou my unbelief.
God did not plan a second-place life for you. Never let good enough be good enough. Especially in this time of uncertainty, we have much potential to be forces for good and to bring the light of Christ to others in this world that is in a crisis.
C.S. Lewis once wrote a letter to a friend saying, "Put first things first, and we get second things thrown in. Put second things first, and we lose both first and second things." From my own experiences, I've learned that our Heavenly Father loves us and knows what is best for us. And while initially we may not always understand what He is doing in our lives, He does not abandon us. And when His priorities are our priorities, our lives are always blessed and we find our greatest happiness. In closing, I remind you of this counsel from President Russell M. Nelson, given just 2 months ago in the face of all that we're seeing in today's challenges. I know the great and marvelous blessings that God has in store for those who love and serve Him. So, during these uncertain times, be comforted by this promise from the Savior. He said, "I, the Lord, am bound when ye do what I say." I promise you that joy is always within the reach of everyone who will hear Him and obey His laws. I give to you today my personal witness, confirmed by 71 years of my own life's experiences, that the principles about which we've spoken are true. And as you commence this exciting new season of your lives, I invite you to recognize them, to embrace them, and to follow them. Remember, there will always be opposition. Work hard, never stop learning, and always put the Lord's purposes first.
Experience is what you get when you don't get what you want, and you have all gotten a lot of experience, haven't you? Let's present you to our Board of Trustees, shall we, graduates? Mr. Burton and members of the Board of Trustees, we present to you the American Heritage School graduating class of 2020. Graduates, you may now move your tassel to the other side. Congratulations.